Hi there, today in this lesson we are doing expanding brackets. To do the expanding brackets, we have got two types of questions. One is the single bracket expansion and the next is double bracket expansion. In this video, I'll be starting with the single bracket expansion. I'm going to teach you different examples from easy, medium to hard, and then we'll be doing the double bracket expansion. So starting with the single bracket expansion, okay, so I'm starting with the first example where if we have 3a plus 5b. Now to expand the bracket, whatever the number is written outside the bracket, we need to multiply it out with the numbers written inside the bracket. So as we see that now we have got 2 outside the bracket. To expand it out, you're going to multiply this with the first term written inside the bracket. So when you multiply them together, you'll be getting 2 times 3a. You multiply the numbers together, so it would be 6a. Follow the sign, what you see in the middle, which is plus. Now, to multiply the number 2 with the second term, we do the same thing. So we have got the number written outside the bracket is 2. Inside, we are having a term which is 5b. When we multiply 2 with 5b, we'll get 10b. This is the first example. Now I'm going to show you with the second example. So let's say if we have 6m plus 2 minus 3m plus 5. Now we see that we have got two brackets. We're going to expand the first bracket, which is here. Then we're going to expand the second bracket, which is this one, and we're going to simplify it afterwards. So if we have got the expanding bracket, which is like the first example, so you just have to simply expand it, and because you can't simplify more, so you just leave the answer as 6a plus 10b. But you need to simplify it where there is possibility of simplifying it. I'll be following the same procedure. As I said that whatever the number is written outside the bracket, you're going to multiply that number with the terms inside the bracket. So to begin with, I'm going to multiply 6 with m. And when you multiply 6 with m, you would have 6m. Follow the sign, what do you see in the middle is a plus. Then you multiply whatever you have got, the next term inside the bracket. So now the next term we're having inside the bracket is 2 and outside is 6. We multiply the two numbers together. So 6 times 2 is going to be 12. Now, this is like tricky part, which I want you to all really focus now. So now we have got a negative sign outside the bracket. Whenever we have got a negative sign outside the bracket, we need to expand it by considering what do we have the sign. And here, because it's negative, so when we expand it, we need to expand it with respect to the minus 3. To expand the first term, now what do we see that now? We are having outside the bracket is minus 3. And the first term to multiply minus 3 with is going to be m. So when you times minus 3 with m, you'll get minus 3m. To get the next term, what you're going to do is whatever is again outside the bracket, which is minus 3 at the moment, you're going to multiply this by 5. So now you're having minus 3 and this is a plus 5. So here I'm writing it down. When you multiply minus 3 with plus 5, the multiplication of that would be negative and positive makes a negative, and 3 times 5 is a 15. So this is going to be now minus 15. We expanded the brackets. Now we clearly can see that there is what we can do is collecting like terms. We can simplify it more by collecting the like terms. So to collect the like terms, what do we see that we have got the same variables, which is 6m, and then we are having minus 3m. So now 6m minus 3m makes 3m. The other two we are having is the constants, which is plus 12 and minus 15. So when you simplify plus 12 and minus 15, you'll get minus 3. So this is how we can expand the brackets and we can simplify it after. Now I'm going to show you one more example on this expanding brackets. So the third example is 5e, e plus f is inside the bracket. Then we have minus 2f outside the bracket and e minus f inside the bracket. We'll be following the same thing, which is whatever you have outside the bracket, to expand the bracket, you multiply it with the terms inside the bracket. To begin with the first one, we see that with the first bracket, we have outside the bracket is 5e. You're going to multiply them together. So when you multiply 5e times e, you will get 5e squared. So those who are not sure, I'm writing it down on the side. So remember that the multiplication of e times e would be e squared. And again, we are using the laws of indices here. This is the power 1, this is the power 1. When the bases are the same and there's a multiply sign, so we add the power. So when you add 1 and 1, you'll get e squared. Now here we have done the same thing, which is 5e times e. That would give 5e squared. As I said, we follow the same sign what we have got inside the bracket. And now we'll be multiplying 5 with whatever the next term written inside the bracket. So now we are having 5e outside the bracket and f is inside the bracket. When we multiply them together, we'll come out with 5ef. This is the expansion of the first bracket. We can see that we have got the next bracket as well. We'll be following the same method. We'll be multiplying the term which is outside the bracket to the terms inside the bracket. So this is minus 2f. When you multiply minus 2f with e, you'll get minus 2ef. To do the next one now, as we have got minus 2ef outside the bracket and inside the bracket is minus f, so again, we'll be just doing it multiplication. Remember that we consider the sign which is outside the bracket and which is inside the bracket. So the multiplication of negative and negative is a positive, and this would be 2f squared. Because f times f would be f squared. Okay, now we have done the first part to expand the brackets. Once we'll be done by expanding the brackets, then we have to do the next step to simplify them. So we see that there's only e squared is with the first term. There's no more e squared, so it would stays the same. It would be 5e squared. Now this, if you consider the two middle terms, we can simplify them because this is plus 5ef, this is minus 2ef. So plus 5ef minus 2ef will give plus 3ef. And then we are having a last term which cannot be simplified with any other term, so remain stays the same, which is 2f squared. We cannot simplify it more, so this is the most simplified answer. All right, now I'm going to show you slight different examples, which is still the expanding bracket, but it's going to be different types of the questions on the expanding brackets. All right, so to begin with the first one now, we are having minus 4a plus 2b and the bracket is here. All right, as I said that whenever we'll expand the bracket, the whole point of expanding the bracket is whatever the term written outside the bracket, you multiply them with the numbers written inside the bracket. So here we have got minus 1 outside the bracket. When you're going to expand out, as we see that there's no number written outside the bracket, it's just the minus sign there. So it's same as by saying that minus 1, or if you just want to write down minus, it's just the same thing. You're using the same rule by multiplying them together. To do the first one, you do minus times 4a would be minus 4a. Remember that we consider the sign what's outside the bracket and what's inside the bracket. So we know that when we multiply negative with a positive, negative and positive makes a negative. So here we have got negative sign outside the bracket, positive is inside the bracket. When you multiply them together, you'll come out with minus and then 2b. So we have got only minus 4a minus 2b. We cannot simplify it more. So this is the simplification of the expanding bracket. To show you the next one now, we are having 2 brackets 5x plus y plus 3 x plus 2y. Okay. Now, to be following the same procedure, we'll be timesing whatever the number written outside the bracket with the terms present inside the bracket. So it's always easy to represent by showing with an arrows. Now I'm going to do the multiplication. So 2 times 5 is going to be 10. This would be 10x plus 2 times y would be 2y. I'll be doing the same thing with the second bracket as well to expand them out. Multiply the term what's outside the bracket with the terms inside the bracket. Remember, we consider the sign what's in between the brackets as well. So here we have got plus 3. When you do plus 3 times x, it would be plus 3x. When you do plus 3 times plus 2y, it would be 6y. Once you're going to expand the brackets, then you need to do collecting like terms. So we're going to circle those which are having the same variables with them. So this is 10x and this is plus 3x. When you add them together, 10x plus 3x, you will get 13x, which I'm going to write down now in the next step. The other two, plus 2y and plus 6y. When you do the collecting like terms of plus 2y and plus 6y, it would be 8y. So we cannot simplify it more because we have already got in the simplified form 13x plus 8y. That's the simplified answer for this one. So here I've shown you some examples on how to expand the single brackets. And now we'll be moving on to the next one to show how to expand the double brackets. Okay, as I always start with the easy question and then gradually go on to the harder one, I'll be doing the same thing for expanding double brackets as well. I'm starting with the basic example, the simple question. So the first one is x plus 4 times x minus 3. Clearly we can see that now we are having two brackets and both the brackets are multiplying each other. So the process of multiplying the two brackets is you will be multiplying the first term with the first term. So whatever we are having the first term with the bracket, the first bracket and the first term with the second bracket, we're going to multiply them together. X times x is x squared. So simply when we multiply x with x, we'll get x squared in the next step. Now we'll be doing the first term to be multiplied with the second term of the second bracket. So here, now I'm multiplying the first term of the first bracket to be multiplied with the second term of the second bracket. I'm going to show you even by the arrows. So now we are multiplying them together. So when you multiply them together, so this is the negative to the minus 3. When you expand it out, just be mindful that we have got a negative sign here. And that would be x times minus 3. So when you do x times minus 3, you'll get minus 3x. Now, we'll be doing for the next one, which is the second term of the first bracket with the first term of the second bracket, you multiply them together. To multiply them together, so we are having the two terms, which is 4 times x would be 4x. To get to the last term, we're going to do the second term of the first bracket times by the second term of the second bracket. And this is, you can see with the arrows as well. When you multiply them together, so you will get plus 4 times minus 3. Plus 4 times minus 3 makes minus 12. And here you have got the expanding of the double brackets. Once you will expand both the brackets, again, you have to do the same thing, which is collecting like terms, because we always have to write down the answer in the simplified form. As we don't have any other x square, so this x square would stays the same. We have got two terms written with x, so this is plus 3x and this is plus 4x. So minus 3x plus 4x makes plus x, and then we have got minus 12 here. This is the first example of the expanding brackets. I'll be showing you the next one where we'll be following exactly the same process. So we have got the two terms written together. Okay, so here's the next example. So we have got two brackets. We have got the first bracket as 3x minus 5 and the next bracket is 2x plus 3. I'll be following the same process while expanding the brackets. I'm going to multiply the first term of the first bracket with the first term of the second bracket. The first thing is we're going to multiply them together. To multiply them together, 3x times 2x, so we're going to multiply the numbers and then the variables. So 3 times 2 is 6, x times x makes x squared. Now we're going to do the first term with the second term of the second bracket. So the first term of the first bracket times by the second term of the second bracket. So you're multiplying them together, and when you multiply them together, you'll get 3x times 3 would make plus 9x. For the next one, we're going to do the second term of the first bracket times with the first term of the second bracket. I'm going to show with an arrow as well. So this is what we are multiplying together. And we are having minus 5 times 2x. So when you multiply minus 5 times 2x, you'll get minus 10x. And now, to get the last term, we're going to times the last second term of this first bracket with the second term of the second bracket. So the second term of the first bracket is minus 5 and the second term of the second bracket is plus 3. So when you do minus 5 times plus 3, you'll get minus 15. Once we have got all the terms, then we're going to do the last step, which is expanding bracket, which is simplification. To simplify it, as we don't have anything with x squared, so this 6x squared would stay the same. We are having two x terms, which is plus 9x and minus 10x. So when you do plus 9x minus 10x, it will give minus x. And the last term would stay the same, which is minus 15. All right, now I'm going to show you one more example on expanding brackets. So here's the next example on the expanding double brackets. So sometimes if we have got the bracket written in terms of the power, which is x plus 2 squared, it's exactly the same thing as we write down the same bracket twice, which is x plus 2 times x plus 2. Once you do this step, the remaining of the step is just exactly the same what we have been doing. So what we do is the first term times with the first term. I'm going to show you by making an arrow. So we are multiplying the first term with the first term. So x times x makes x squared. Then we do the first term times with the second term. So x times plus 2 would be 2x. Now we are doing second term of the first bracket with the first term of the second bracket, would give 2 times x would be 2x. And now we are doing the last one, which is plus 2 times plus 2, which would be plus 4. The last step is to simplify. So that would be x squared. These two terms can be collected together. So plus 2x and plus 2x makes a plus 4x, and the last is plus 4. And this is the last example on the expanding double bracket, which I'm showing you now. So the bracket given to us as 3x minus 2y whole square. I'll be doing the same thing. So as I said, that square means writing down the same bracket twice. So this would be 3x minus 2y, and I'm going to write down the same bracket again, which is 3x minus 2y. Now we'll be following the same process of expanding the bracket. So the first term will go with the first one, multiply together. So 3x times 3x is 9x squared. How we are getting this 9x squared is we multiply the numbers together. 3 times 3 is 9. And then we do the variables, which is x times x is x squared. We're going to do the first term with the second term here. So now we're going to consider there's a minus sign here. So 3x times minus 2y. Positive and negative makes a negative. So we're having a negative sign. Then we're going to multiply the numbers. So 3 times 2 is 6. Now we're going to multiply the variables, which is x times y is xy. To do the other two now, the next two brackets, you do the second term times with the first term of the second bracket. So you multiply them together. You are multiplying minus 2y times 3x. Because we have got now the negative sign here, so negative 2 times 3 would be minus 6. And then we do the variable. So y times x would be xy. To get the last term, we do the second term of the first bracket times the second term of the second bracket, which is minus 2y times minus 2y. As I said, we're going to multiply the numbers first. We're going to start with minus 2 times minus 2. So when you multiply minus 2 times minus 2, which I'll be writing it down over here now. So a minus 2 times minus 2. To multiply them together, minus and minus makes a plus, and 2 times 2 makes a 4. So we'll be getting plus 4. So I'll be writing now plus 4 here. And when you do with the variables, which is y times y would give y squared. Once we're going to expand the bracket, the next step is to do the simplification if possible. So I'm going to start with the first term. The first term I'm having is a 9x squared. We don't have any other term with x squared, so it would stay the same. We are having two terms with the same variable. So it's plus 6y minus 6y and then again minus 6y. So when you do minus 6y, that would give minus 12xy plus, we don't have any other term with y squared, so we're going to keep that the same, which is 4y squared. So this is for the explanation of expanding the single brackets and double brackets. Here in this video, I tried to show you different examples, how to expand the single brackets and simplify them, and how to expand the double brackets and to simplify them. So I hope you find this video useful, and now you can try some questions to test your understanding.